This is it. This is the journey to go get the last item I need in order to make the keystone. The Trappa something something, I don't know how the hell you're supposed to pronounce it, but it is in the Well of Skelos, which is deep within the volcano. Now, there are 3 ways to get into the volcano, at least 3 that I know of. Firstly, is this one that I am taking here, the Dragon's Maw, or something like that. It's a cave that leads from the frozen north directly into the volcano. There is a second cave just like this near the Frost Forge, and then of course you could take the regular path from the frozen north just to the east of the Black Keep that leads into the volcano naturally without any loading screens. The way that I'm going to be taking will have a loading screen, but it's fine because it actually is one of the closest ways to get to where I need to be without traversing the entirety of the volcano. Now, in order to go through the volcano and the Well of Skelos, I do need some ice, which is what I harvest right there with the black ice. I don't need the black ice itself, I just need regular ice to chew on because it will keep me cool in the hot areas. Now, going through the Dragon's Maw, it is a short little cave that has a lot of lava in it, but there's not really anything dangerous. You just have to traverse through it, and on the other side, you are sent through a loading screen, which brings you out pretty much right next to the Well of Skelos. It's just a short walk. There is even a clear path, so you don't have to lava hop at all. I do put down a bedroll just in case because the enemies in this area are kind of annoying. They can absolutely wreck your shit if you're not prepared. Now, luckily, I just have to run right past them and jump into the well. I was considering fighting them, but there are so many, I was like, nah, I'm just gonna make a run for it. They almost get me with their bow because it cripples me, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I made it just on time with Spinus in tow. Now, the Well of Skelos may seem scary to most people because you would think of it as an endgame dungeon. It's really not that hard or difficult. If anything, these first few human NPCs in the start are the hardest thing in this dungeon. They actually almost take me out a couple of times, and they even dropped my follower once and I had to pick them back up. Yeah, once you get past them, the snakemen are really not that hard, even with 2,500 health versus the 600 or 700 that these human NPCs have. I'm also getting a little bit of PTSD from the Obsidian Forge up ahead because one of the roleplay servers that I was playing on, they had it where if you sold certain items to the NPCs through the Pippi mod, you could get gold, and you would use gold to buy up land. Well, the best-selling item to the NPCs were obsidian bars, so I spent like 3 whole real-life days grinding obsidian bars here at the forge. Luckily though, they had drop on death turned off, so I would kill myself to respawn at my bedroll, which I had just outside this forge in the Well of Skelos. I would make all of the obsidian bars and then die to return home, and then die to come back. So yeah, that was kind of funny to abuse the system, but it really burnt me out. A few days later, I ended up quitting Conan for several months, even after spending that time to get gold and buy up that plot of land for the roleplay server. Most of the Well of Skelos is really just kind of filler. It's not really as exciting to me as the Black Keep, where it feels like a dungeon crawl. Here it's more of just walking down walkways through lava areas. There's very few mini-bosses, and the few that there are not really that exciting. I wouldn't say this is the worst dungeon in the game. That would be the Warmaker dungeon, or even the Wine Cellar, but this is kind of a useless dungeon if you're not here for Obsidian or for the Trappa something something. Again, I can't pronounce it. Now, it did take me a while to remember the path I needed to take. Where I want to be is that building just off in the distance there with the purple fire. That's where the final boss is. Eventually, I found my way to where the mini boss is. He's just below this platform here. Now, defeating him will open up the door behind him to lead to the next part of the dungeon. Again, this is supposed to be a mini boss to unlock the door, but there's nothing special about him. He's essentially just a regular NPC. He doesn't have any special abilities, but he does drop a lot of food, so that was something something. I was able to give that food to my follower so he could heal. If I remember correctly, I think this is also the dungeon where you can get the petrified egg decorative item. I did look around for it and I found the nesting area, but I didn't find the petrified egg. I don't really remember how you obtain it. I just know it's somewhere in this dungeon, but it's fine. I don't really need it. I just thought it'd be fun to have. So once I defeated the mini-boss and I gave the food to my follower, we proceeded through the door. It's only a short distance now from where the final boss is. We do have to fight our way through hordes more of these snake men, and again, these guys have 2,500 health, but they deal so little damage to you. I'm able to take on like 4 or 5 at a time, and they're not nearly as hard as the human NPCs at the start of the dungeon. But now I finally make it to the final boss, which is not really a boss at all. So instead of fighting one singular creature that has a ton of health and a ton of damage dealing like any other dungeon in this game, instead you're supposed to fight waves of enemies which die in one hit. You do have to fight a lot of them and it can get a little bit annoying, but after about a minute of wiping out every single one of these like phantom snake men that the final boss summons, he then puts down his shield wall that's surrounding him in his chair, and it's like, oh, is it phase 2? Are we actually gonna fight him? And no, not really. Once he puts down that wall, he just kind of stands there. You hit him once and he just dies in one hit. Apparently he uses all of his magic and ability to keep the wall up and to shoot those phantoms at you, and once that's over, he pretty much exhausts himself and dies. But that's it. That was the final item I need in order to make the keystone. Again, all of this, one huge adventure through the exiled lands without crafting a single item or building a base. I did it purely through killing, looting, and gathering what I could. And of course, the help of my followers, which I rescued instead of enslaved. Even with that anticlimactic ending of the Well of Skelos dungeon, I head all the way back home because now it is time to gather all of the items that I had acquired during this playthrough, and we're going to be heading to the Altar of Chaos Mouth, which I just call the Chaos Altar, which is a RuneScape thing, but it's much easier than saying Altar of Chaos Mouth. Anyway, now that I've reached all the way back home, I drop off the few decorative items that I acquired during the Well of Skelos, and I go to my bank NPCs, is what I'm calling them, and gather the rest of the items. It is now time to head to the final area. I do end up bringing Spinus with me. I don't really need to, but I figured he had been here at least through some of the journey, so he deserved to go with me. Really, now that I think about it in the post-production, I should have brought with me Athena, Spinus, Dave the Barbarian, and John, since they were pretty much the main MVP players of this entire journey. Now, there is no easy way to get to the altar. There's no staircase, at least not that I know of. The only way I've ever been able to get up there is by climbing. You can get up there from the desert, but I find it's the easiest to get there through the north. It's a lot shorter distance, and you have more areas to stop and rest for your stamina recovery. Being up close next to the building, it's actually really impressive the amount of detail that's in the wall there. I mean, look at all that rust that's just kind of like dripping off of the metal. It actually looks really cool up close, but now here's the final walk. We approach the altar, and it is time to create the keystone. Now, as I said before, this is not going to be the end of my playthrough. This is only the end of the story mode. I have acquired all 6 items in order to make the keystone, which would normally let you leave the exiled lands. However, in this game, when you leave the exiled lands, well, what's there to do? You've left the exiled lands. Therefore, it will delete my character by doing that. I don't want to delete this character after all he's been through, and not only that, there is still so much more to do in Conan Exiles. The story mode of collecting the keystone and even visiting the Archivist, the Warmaker, and all of those characters is only 10 to 20% of what there is in this map. There is still so much more, like the Tower of the White Bat. We have the dungeon with Dagon in it, the the War Maker, the Wine Cellar, the Midnight Grove. So I'm going to continue playing this character, and we're going to try to 100% this map. And until then, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.